Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my new episode with Petteri Koponen from Finland. And we talked about his career as a player. We talked about his draft and stash time, the expectation he lived with or didn't live with, the adjustment from player to coach, the time in New Zealand, the time apart from his family, and many more things in regards to coaching and playing. I think it's a very beautiful episode where he shows his private side in terms of life apart from the family. At the end of the episode, we also went to the Pro Ball section, obviously, and analyzed some things. And yeah, please subscribe if you like this episode. Please share with people who may like it, may enjoy it. Let's spread the word. And I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here and see you soon. Bye. All right, Petteri, welcome to my podcast world.
Thank you. It's an honor. I've been listening to this podcast and watching, you had great guests. And so it's honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I love this part because it helped me. I didn't expect it, but it helped me to connect with new people also, So there was a side effect that I didn't expect, but at the same time, I'm ambitious for it to grow also more and faster and better. And, like this is like the competitive nature comes out sometimes, but I don't overwhelm myself with the expectation aspect.
No, but I think you are doing a great job. So I've been enjoying, and I think there are many others who feel the same way. So
Thank you.
good job so far.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have back issues. You have hip issues. Tell me about you're on the couch after surgery. Tell me what was the procedure?
Yeah, I had my second hip done. Actually got my second artificial hip. So it's kind of pretty harsh. I'm 36 years old, and then now I got two fake hips, and but overall I feel great. I think the surgery went really well, and now it's time to rest a little bit and then do the recovery part. Good, and then but I got the experience with my left one 2 years ago, so basically it's like a new leg right now, and I feel I could play basketball again. And now just I'm really excited to see after the recovery and then rehab and everything how the right one is, and to really be able to move also without the pain or again, because
Yeah.
it's been many years kind of frustrating. Whatever you do, the pain is there.
I feel the same pain with my back, everything like you wake up in the morning, it's stiff, it's all like, and I refuse the fact that I'm old, like I'm not, that's one thing that I will keep fighting forever because I want to stay young in my heart at least. And I want this to transfer into my body. But at the same time, you can't deny that some structural parts that have taken a toll. I haven't played as much and at a high level as you have. So that's why it's a frustration for me because it shouldn't be that way. You know what I mean? Like I had put hours in the gym, but not for at that level, not for that long of a time. But for you at that age to have two hip surgeries is kind of odd. Is that like structural deficiencies that you had, or what was the
Yeah,
procedure?
I mean, I was asking this obviously, during the years why it's like this. First time when I went to Barcelona, they kind of told me, you got bad hips, and with the medical checks and everything, that's kind of first time they gave me the injections, the hip, but it didn't bother me that much that time yet. But then my last contract when I went to Munich, I almost didn't pass the medicals because they told me, you got the 70-year-old hips. So
Wow.
it was kind of the last years was I was struggling. I couldn't move anymore the way I wanted to. It's a lot of compromises, a lot of pain. So a lot of like sacrifices before the practice so I could even practice. So it was kind of tough. And when I finally hang up my shoes after the Eurobasket 2022, it was kind of relief.
Yeah.
At the same time, I knew I couldn't play at the level where I wanted to anymore, and then I didn't have to go through all the pain and all this all the time. And then, but yeah, unfortunate, but I'm really happy. Kind of the medicine went forward, and at least I had great experience with the first surgery. At least next 15, 20 years, I hope I'm gonna be okay and able to, again, move without the pain and do the things what I love, playing golf or things like this.
Yeah, that's the quality of life, man. That's I think at the end of the day that all boils down to that when you stop playing or when you realize that there's other things in life also. There's a second chapter or third chapter, that you have to also be able to play with your kids and you have to be able to walk around, run around, to do small things pain free. I think that's the day to day to be in pain. I feel it takes away the quality of life, and that's the most frustrating part. That's why I'm gonna go into rehab also just to like without surgery, just to focus on one thing, and not travel and just try to clean it up and try to get strong and try to hopefully get the deficiencies out and then move on. So I think it's health is such a huge part in our life, and we can't neglect it. We all usually recognize it when it's too late.
No, no, 100%. And the worst part for me was like I started to realize I didn't want to do some things what I like because I knew it's gonna be painful. So I
Yeah.
said, like, okay, no, I don't want to do it. Like so, then I do something else. And now I looking forward. After a few months, so I'm able to do things what I love. Without the pain. So it's
Yeah.
kind of relief, and I really hope and looking forward to it.
So let's talk about a couple of things from your past, because I prepared. There's a lot of topics we can talk about because you have a wide variety of experiences from player aspect to coaching aspect now, from coaching juniors as well as pros. So I want to start with your playing days, and there's one factor that I think it's important also from my job, but at the same time also from the perspective of players that were drafted and stashed. What was the process for you as you were going through the draft process? I think 2007 you were drafted, right? So,
Yes.
and then, for a player to have an understanding of where he belongs, the expectation level for the player of like, I'm going to come over. I want to come over. I want to play in the NBA, but at the same time to embrace the European part, embrace the international basketball part where you have to still develop. You're still young and you still have to get better. And you have to like, what was your relationship with the clubs because your rights were passed on from one team to another? What was the relationship you had with the teams, and what was the expectation level? When did it click for you to understand, okay, I have to earn my ways to the league?
Yeah, kind of everything when I got drafted, everything kind of happened so fast. I didn't have too big of expectations. I did the Nike Hoop Summit, but kind of opened the doors for me. Then I did the workouts, during that summer. But then when I got drafted, the plan was, okay, I would to Portland say like, okay, you're gonna stay in Europe, work on your game, and we're gonna bring you over when you are a little bit older. And so the first year I ended up staying in Finland, even if I had a lot of offers all over the Europe because I had coach Mihailo Pavicevic, who kind of knew how is the European basketball scene, and like for the young guys sometimes it's hard to get opportunities or get playing time. So I end up staying in Finland, and I had a good year, big year. But at the same time, even after that year, it looked like there are no room for me. There were always a conversation. Okay, you can come over. You can go to that time was the D League. You can go there. Maybe you will play some games with us. But I never felt that was kind of the thing. What I wanted to do, and so then I end up going to Italy and start my professional career there with Virtus, and it kind of then it was every year grind, like you said. European basketball to play at the high level when you are young, it's not easy, and you
Mhm.
have to earn everything and kind of take it year by year.
Hey, short interruption. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of the B8 Summit that's going to be happening in Vilnius on July 8th. We're going to have podcast style conversations with some of the best coaches in Europe, strength and conditioning coach, and a former sports director and current NBA scout. We're going to have also a roundtable at the end of it in Lithuanian, which will be translated to English via AI. And at the same time, we're going to have a lot of networking opportunities. So please go to b8summit.com. If you have questions, email us at info@b8summit.com and follow us on all the social media platforms, mostly Instagram and Facebook or LinkedIn. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being here, and back to the conversation. What did you live with an expectation to come over to the NBA, or did you kind of put it on the back shelf and not worry about it? Because it's hard to be in two places at once, and you have this urge to come over to the NBA, but at the same time, it's not like there's only so much you can do with it.
Yeah, of course. It was the big dream, big goal, to get there. And, I kept working every day. But, at the same time, it wasn't let's say, the biggest thing. I just wanted to make it, play at the highest level. I knew, how much I had to work even to make it in the highest level in Europe and what I have to prove. And it wasn't easy. I remember my first year in Bologna. We had Earl Boykins, Keith Langford, so it was kind of hard to get the playing time for a 20-year-old Finnish kid. So I really had to kind of earn everything. But it was also at the same time it was great learning process, and I think it was very important for me to really that year showed me what I have to do to make it at the highest level. And I work like crazy and I improve my game every day.
I remember when you were in Khimki, well, we faced each other a lot of times, and I remember you being very gritty, like you were always very mentally in the moment and saying like competitive at the least, like you could see that you were very emotionally engaged in every possession. What was your preparation process for the games, when did you feel like you matured as a player in terms of coming to the game ready to play and being mentally prepared?
Well, I think I kind of always had that. I always put so much pressure kind of to myself to perform. Sometimes when I was younger, maybe too much, but that's how I always felt. And I always wanted to show everybody what I can do and how I can play. And I followed a lot of basketball. I kind of, sometimes it was hard because there were a lot of players who I followed before. And I said, okay, man, those guys are great. Now I have to give everything to succeed, to play successfully against them or have some kind of performance. So it kind of, I always had that chip in my shoulder, and I just wanted to always perform. I don't know if it was good thing or bad thing, but I was just always ready to compete, like you said.
Did you have a routine?
Yeah, I mean, my warm-up routine before the game, I have to always do the same shots, kind of same ball handling drills. I don't know, like now looking back, I don't know if it makes any sense, kind of, but at the same time, I always felt like in this business or in this world where we are, there are a lot of changes, a lot of, something going on, many things what you can control, but some of the things you can control, it kind of brings you that security and confidence, and that's how I felt it. But, sometimes it went also maybe over the top, okay, maybe, I couldn't do this tonight. I can't play well. And in the end, it really didn't matter.
It's that's the superstition part, right? Like you kind
Exactly,
of feel like
exactly.
you have to go through all the process to make sure that you didn't skip any steps, and then you have to make sure that you put yourself at ease and now I can play. But at the
Yeah,
reality, you're still the same player.
exactly. And like that's what you realize afterwards. You're like, yeah, that didn't make any sense. But that time it kind of brought you that security and that confidence. Okay, now I'm ready to go. I'm ready to kill.
Yeah, yeah. How did you? I assume like the health was the main reason for retiring, but how was the transition process for you when you retired and you stopped playing? You had to kind of prepare yourself mentally ahead of time. Did you kind of after you retired, did you have to, did you feel comfortable after you retired, reflecting on your career and then going into a new identity part, like you have to create a new life basically. Everybody says that athletes, basketball players, whoever, they die two deaths, the one of the career and then the natural death. So there's an identity shift after your career finishes as a player. What was it like when you finished it?
I think in my case, it is easier because I didn't have a choice,
Yeah.
and I was already, maybe let's say past 3 4 years, I was already struggling. I was preparing for that. I was kind of working towards the end, and just if, because we lived COVID, they moved the Eurobasket 1 year later. Maybe if the Eurobasket would have been 1 year where it's supposed to be, I think I would have retired then.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, the always had the great love for our national team, so I wanted to finish with them, and I'm grateful I had the opportunity to finish there, and that's why I went through the last summer of kind of getting myself ready and try to be helpful for the team, and but like I said, it was kind of easy for me in the end, and kind of relief, so I could move past to it, and I just knew I couldn't do it anymore. There was no any enjoyment, with the pain and all the sacrifices, kind of what I had to do day by day.
Yeah, that's what Portius was also talking about the same thing when he was like just living on painkillers basically the last year and a half and 2 years, and it's just at some point you wake up in the morning like what am I doing? Like you're just kind of there's no joy. The joy of playing basketball at this level is that you can play and exhaust yourself and compete at the highest level. You feel like you've done everything, and now you can't do everything. You feel like you're letting yourself down, you're letting the team down. You kind of there is a conflicting kind of value there, like you want to give everything, but you can't 100% engage with your body. So you lose a lot of things there.
No, definitely, and like it's mentally really tough. Like during the games, when you have to guard somebody and you have to guess if he's going right or left to stay in front of him, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like thinking, oh, okay, reading the scouting reports, okay, this is his, go-to move. He want to go to the right. So when you're in the game, you try to, use everything, but because you can't get to that stance anymore, you can't move, so you're gonna have to guess. Okay, 60% he's gonna go to right, so I'm gonna take that away. But then when he makes that crossover, it looks pretty bad, and it's mentally tough. But those kind of compromises, and it just it wasn't worth it anymore. And I was lucky. I was able to play highest level in Europe and compete with the
Sure.
best ones. So that's kind of. But at the same time, it still feels bad, watching some of the guys still who I played with or played against still playing
I
there, and
can't I can't imagine.
that's still bad. Okay, I said, okay, if I would be healthy, I could still do it, but it is what it is, and I'm pretty pleased with it, and like I said, I got a lot of great things from basketball, and I'm still getting a lot of great things from basketball. So the journey is continuing.
For sure. Like that's going to make you also a better coach in that aspect because of the frustration you feel of what you could do and they're not doing, and it's a natural intrinsic emotion that you can relay to your players. Because I remember when I stopped to play for my injuries, I had like a lot of disbalances, and it was I was like 24, 25 maybe, and all my dreams were shattered. Like I get goosebumps when I talk about it because it's just like I had to cut it. Like it was just not possible. I had to look for help for a year and a half, and then I see players on the court playing 70%, or messing around, and I lost it. I lost my shit. It was just not possible for me to see what I saw and them not being 100% engaged where I want to be 100% engaged and I can't, and there's a frustration factor that you can relay. At some point I also went over the line because it was just like too much
Yeah,
also for young players to handle of my emotional outbursts. But at the same time, it's genuine. It's a sincere emotion that you and the players respect sincerity. Like they see if you care, then we have to care. That's basically comes down to that. But I wanted to talk to you also about the Finnish basketball in terms of, you said like there's a lot of pride that comes into playing for the national team, and in some countries you have to convince players to come all the time. In some countries you don't have to convince players; they all want to come. It's all about the summer. And Germany has something that with the players are all committed, every summer, and it paid dividends at the end, and it still continues to pay dividends. But when you compare, what was Finnish basketball like when you were playing, coming up? Then obviously Lauri came. That's a big, addition to the whole Finnish basketball culture. But where was it back then? Because also when we played with the national team every summer, the friendly games we played, I saw the development of the basketball culture. It's a different style that was being played, a lot of movement, and it's a different philosophy, but it's also very effective for the team that you guys had. And then it was slowly, Hano was still playing, I remember, and there was a progress process that was continuing. And now this summer, Lithuania will actually face Finland and in Finland, and it's going to be a very interesting like comparison of like the last 10 to 15 years to now, and then what's the projection? Where is it going? Where it's growing towards?
Yeah, and like you said, Lithuania was kind of always our big brother, what we were always looking up to. A lot of great players came from there. The coaches back in the days, they used to go to Lithuania to see how you guys, how they do things. What they are doing so well that small country can produce this kind of basketball, and then of course the big thank for our rise goes to Henrik Detman. He changed kind of the whole thing in the federation, and then he established the culture, what it needs to be, and the players kind of bought in. And my first years with the national team, we were still in Division B, trying to make it to be able to qualify for the Eurobasket. And then there were some qualifications then when we actually we beat Serbia. There was 1,500 people in the stands. Nobody cared. And
Wow.
I've seen the both sides, and it's kind of then step by step we made it to the first Eurobasket in Lithuania 2011.
11. Yep.
Yeah, and it kind of took from there, and then we've been part of Eurobaskets. We went to the World Cups now twice, and year by year, I think the system is getting better. The more kids are starting to play the sport, and that's the key. And they, like you said, now they got the idol like Lauri, and the basketball is getting bigger and bigger. And 2017, we had the first home Eurobasket in Helsinki. The first group stage, and full gym. And now every time our national team plays, it's like in Lithuania, full gym. Wherever you go, practice games, and it's amazing. I have seen the growth of the sport in our country, and I think the future is really really bright. And now next August in Tampere, it's gonna be next chapter.
Yeah, it's it's like you say gym, we went from 1,500 people to arenas, like
Oh,
it's like 15,000 people, 12,000 people. I remember when we played the friendly game before the World Cup, I believe, in Tampere also,
yeah,
and it was unreal. It was unreal, and
exactly.
and then what did Detmon do to impact the system as a whole? I assume it's a fast-growing sport now in Finland, but because in Sweden it is also. I just talked to Mikko Ripinen from Göttingen and from the Swedish national team. So like this is a fast-growing sport in Finland, and what did Detmon do to make it a fast-growing sport?
No, I mean the first. I think what he implemented was the federational system. Then he kind of asked the players to really buy in and ask if they are committed for the national team. All the players, we played for free all the years.
Yeah.
We didn't get money, but he made sure that every time all the players came for the national team during the summer, all the the things, the hotels, the food, the travel kind of was the highest level. And it's kind of like, okay, we can't pay you guys, but we take care of you. You can practice during the summer, and if this is something, we want to take the basketball in Finland next level. And then there's a lot of coaching, education in Finland. I think the coaching is pretty high level. They try to make sure that all the coaches and young kids, they have some kind of education, and they have the plan what to do. And so there are a lot of things. And then of course the good results with the national team kind of gave, the more gas. It put more gas in the fire, and the more kids, started to see the sports. Then Lowry came. Basketball was all over the news. NBA there and there. Back in the days, it was not like this. And now, it's easy for the kids, and they can see it. You can make it out of the Finland, and it's really nice to see. And small country, be able to compete in this kind of sport is, like I said, Lithuania was our role model, big brother, and now we are able to compete with them in some of those games, and it's just, great feeling, and it shows, all the hard work what the Detman and all federation players and everybody who were involved did during the years.
Yeah, that's one thing also in Lithuania that they a long time ago, it's like 15, maybe over 15 years ago, they agreed upon with the federation that the players will not get paid, but they will be taken care of. Everything is 5-star, high quality, and travel is going to be good and easy. And so those things matter. And then the families can come and join in the first part of the preparation, because during the season you spend a lot of time apart from your family, for about 10 months traveling and being on a scheduled life. I think in a national team to balance it out with the family is also very important. And you can see that the commitment in Finland it's been very reliable and consistent over the years. You see the same player rosters. If everybody's healthy, everybody's there. And that's the ground for a good culture to build up on. Germany did it, we did it, you guys did it, and I think Sweden is doing it as well. Like, you can see that the progression and guys are coming. It's not always like in and out, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But at the same time, there's also still lots of growth left. I'm wondering what the future holds, because there's a lot of shifting pieces in Europe in terms of France is France. That's one thing. Like the democracy, they will.
Germany is also. You look all the young guys coming out of Germany. I'm like, oh, they're gonna be a problem for future.
Yeah.
But if you, like you said, France, Germany, it's. I mean, big countries, a lot of players. Of course, it's easier to kind of produce, but it's still, those are definitely, like you said, top 2 countries for me in Europe right now.
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to share my screen with you for the proballers.com segment. That's have you heard of Pro Ballers?
Yes.
Through my podcast, or have you heard
exactly through your podcast,
So the advertisement works.
proven.
It's proven. And the proballers.com, they're listening too, so they know this is paying dividends. So let's put in. We're going slowly into the coaching segment, so I'm going to go into the New Zealand Breakers. And the last game that comes up is Illawarra. So I wanted to look at the box score of Illawarra against you, and you'll tell me a little bit about your season, of how much you want to tell me about it, because it was a very up and down roller coaster season from what I was following. But if you look at Illawarra, there's 2 things that I would like to ask you. At first is, as a coach, what are the most important things for you to look at after the game at the box score? And the second thing, playing against Illawarra, the future champion, which is now they won the championship in a very, very intriguing 5-game series in the finals against Melbourne. Were you able to project or see that Illawarra is going to contend for the championship at any stage? Maybe at this game there were signs. What were the signs that Illawarra would be like contending for the championship? So there's 2 parts to this question.
Let's say from beginning of the year, I would say no. But then during the year, when you see how hard they were playing every night, and I think that was kind of their biggest strength. They had 10 to 12 guys who really, whenever they stepped on the court, they were playing 100%, full intensity, going for the rebounds, playing for each other. And I think that was kind of their key. Nothing special, nothing kind of, no crazy X's and O's. You know how it is. When you are a player, you think everything is about X's and O's. We can do, but it's, they were just so, hard group to play against. They were the only team we couldn't beat throughout the year. I think everybody else
competitive, huh?
exactly. And then all 10, 12 guys, of course they had talent then, but how they crashed the boards and how they were just playing hard all 40 minutes, and it was impressive. And the guys, they told me they were close last year, but they really, for me, they deserve it this year, and I'm happy for them, and they had a great season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's you can see a 27 assists, 14 offensive rebounds. I mean, there's that I don't know their assist average on the season, but it's something that I can imagine that they're a competitive bunch, and you could tell on video that they don't mind, they do the extra passes, they try to get the best shot available, and then they play hard on defense, and that's like the low hanging fruit, as Miko also likes to say. Miko Ripinen, he's saying it on the podcast, like just low hanging fruit, doing the basics basically, and competing and moving forward. What are your basics for the team if you look at the box score? For you, what's the most important things that you look at?
Well, first of all, I always, I think every coach, I hate turnovers. That's kind of one thing when I look. Then, how was the rebounding? Like you said, the basic things. Then also I believe a lot offensive rebound is a big part of modern basketball, and we put a lot of emphasis there too to try to be active on the glass and get those extra possessions but in the end, like I said, it comes down to the personnel, the team you have. You try to put your players in the right positions, and then try to create that culture, playing hard, playing for each other, and playing with the intensity every night.
Yeah, let's do one more searching you, and this is, if you look at the profile, last 5 games that you played on Eurobasket, obviously. Now, if we search your teammates, your most frequent teammates, if you had to guess, who was your teammate that you played with the most games?
Teammate who I played most games, foreigner or Finnish guy?
Foreigner.
Tyrese Rice?
Nope. One more guess.
No idea. Who? I don't know. Tell me.
Sergei Monia, 213
games. Yeah, sure. But
you
true,
played
with Monia, we were 4 years together.
Yeah. And then the third one was Murinen. That's where you played Honka and in the national team.
Team.
Yeah.
Mika's father.
Okay, that's the Pro Baller segment. Everybody who wants to nerd out on stats, please go to proballers.com, the #1 statistical platform out there. So, as a coach, when you transfer to be a coach and you made this transition, besides talking about the next generation team that you also coach, but what do you find yourself doing as a coach that used to bother you as a player? Like every player has something that Pepe said that what the coach does, and then you catch yourself now as a coach maybe doing the same things that bother you initially.
That's a tough question. Like, I don't know, maybe telling the players same things all over again. Repeating things. Yeah. And kind of like as a player, you say, hey, I know it, coach, already. Let me, I know it. Like, let it go. But at the same time, I'm a strong believer, building the strong habits, trying to, create that culture through the habits, and so the players are able to play kind of free without hesitating and thinking too much. And that's where you need to build those habits, and it needs a lot of repetitions and corrections also, and at the same time, as a player, it might sometimes, for me, for example, was annoying. Like I said, okay, can we already move on? I already know this. At the same time, it's also really interesting kind of topic. I did this personality test now in New Zealand, kind of what we used to do also in national team, and how different kind of players there are. Some of the players already, they get bored after a few reps, and they kind of need all the time some new kind of challenges. And the other players, they get confidence from their repetitions, and it's kind of how you can balance those out and not to get the guys bored, but at the same time, you need all those kind of repetitions and build the time to build those habits.
Yeah. It's I found myself repeating, and that's one thing as a coach, you also get tired of saying the same thing, but you also, it's a security thing that you want to be able to know, like, okay, I told them several times, like, if he still messes up, like this is it's more of a insurance kind of thing, like to making sure that they understand and know. And some players know right away. Some players even know without you telling them they know, they should know, and some players will never get it. So there's finding the balance of who to tell. That I remember before the games when I tell the matchups to the players, who's guarding who, and then have to tell the tendencies again, reminding them, and then I could see at the players like, I know already, like, okay, I will not tell you, like, like right hand, left hand, pull up or whatever, like this. Okay, I will not bother him. With him, I have to talk a little bit more clear, and he will listen, and he wants it. No, again, repeat it, because maybe he's not. Some players are visual learners, some people are acoustically. They wanted to get repetition, and some people just don't like reading. Like it's hard to absorb all the information when you're. So everybody's different, like you said, and you have to figure out of how to talk to whom in what way and how to reach them.
Yeah, definitely. And then, what was kind of for me the biggest challenge last year with our team was kind of, through the preseason, you work on a lot of things. You kind of build that identity, how you want to play. You have the clear ideas. Then, there's some kind of change, and you have to go totally opposite way or kind of mix some things, and then you don't have time. And, also as a player, I was always thinking, okay, why we don't change this? Why we don't do this? But now as a coach, you kind of realize how much you change this, how much it affects to something else. And, as a player, you only think many things through your own eyes, but as a coach, it's totally different. And, you kind of have to understand the balance and try to how you can teach. And a lot of like nowadays with the schedule wise, kind of is it NBA or Euroleague or NBL with the schedule, it's teaching is a lot of also through the film, or,
Yeah.
you don't have the court available, or with the traveling, like us kind of every week, you kind of lose 2-3 days for the traveling, so you don't have time on the course. So it's kind of everything is through the film, and how the players learn differently. Some of them like you said, catch it faster. Some of them, it's really hard to learn just through the film, and it's you always have to think what to change and how much. It is really interesting and hard job.
What was the first, when you started to coach and the next generation team, what were the first things that you felt like you have the biggest learning curve? Like, did you have to absorb as a coach really quickly and learn at a fast pace that you felt like you still were behind a little bit? Because it's a quick process. It's like short window. You got for 1 week, you come together, you got to bring the team together, you got to teach them of how to play together and put in place defensive philosophy. But what did you feel like as a coach that you had to, was like initially very difficult for you to get the first step in and have a habit of teaching maybe, or drills? What were the biggest challenges for you early on?
No, definitely the teaching part was kind of the how you can put the set offense. You can say, okay, defensively we want, but how we can teach it the best way so that everybody understand it. How we can get everybody on the same page for sure. And that's kind of the thing, what is the best way to do it, with limited time. And I think that's one of those things what I still, every day I'm thinking, well, what is the best drill? What is is this one, how we can teach the players this one the best way possible, so they can all learn it. And I think it's constant kind of challenge and thinking how we can, because like I said, not in today's basketball, I think the time is really the enemy, the effort. The coaches, you always have to think where you want to invest. Even you got many things you want to get better at, but you got limited time, so you kind of try to make everything kind of efficient and think what is the best way to do it.
Yeah. And I can imagine that when coaching, also the transfer from coaching juniors to coaching pros, there's a big jump also. Like I mean, obviously as a former high level professional, you know what they're thinking, so maybe it's easier in some ways because you don't have to teach fundamental things at that much, although you still have to touch on them at sometimes. But maybe the transfer from juniors to pros is more X's and O's based or more philosophy based. Where did you feel like the transition from juniors to pros was like the biggest aha moment for you?
Well, yeah, definitely. It's two kind of different world. Okay, let's say the next generation was kind of different. Like you said, you had 4 days. You try to put some kind of things together, both offensively, defensively, and you try to get the guys on the same page and try to make them execute the best way and try to find the chemistry and see kind of the synergies, who can play well together. But then I was working at the same time our academy back in Helsinki, where the emphasis was more like the player development. You try to
Hmm.
work there and make the guys better, and then when I transferred to New Zealand, it's kind of everything is about how the team you know is going to do. You don't
Yeah.
have time to improve players too much, even though I'm a big believer that every day you can work on some things, try to, because in the end it's about if the players can make shots or not, or they can make right decisions. And but at the same time the time is limited, and you try to there think what is the best way to play with this team, how we want to play defensively, and then at the same time, like I said, you have limited time. It's really really hard. And but like you said, it's good and bad at the same time. When you you were player high level, sometimes I feel I take some things still granted. Like I know for sure they know this, even they don't. And then
Yeah.
you have to kind of you skip some steps, and then you start to hunt you like, okay, now this guy is not, he's not lifting, he's not drifting, like, oh, we have to repeat this, like why we did this, but maybe we didn't do it enough, and kind of all
Hmm.
the spacing
Hmm.
kind of things. And what it maybe it's automatic for me, for example, when I played many years in Europe, but for some of the guys it's not, and you kind of have to find the balance and not to skip any steps.
That's the in hindsight, you understand and you feel like, I should have said this, we should have ran this drill maybe before practice or after practice, before the game, during practice, to prepare certain things to just to remind them of the habit, because
Exactly.
pros have been doing it for years, but then at some point they still need to be reminded just to massage the brain a little bit. It's like, okay, then it's there when the game arrives. How much do you delegate to the staff, and what parts do you delegate to the staff? I remember talking about Detman again, how Detman was giving Lassi some timeouts and preparing him basically for being a head coach at some point, where Lassi was drawing up some ATOs, some things that he prepared. And that's a big mentorship part also, for a head coach to mentor their staff and give them some autonomy in certain areas of the work, whether it's practice, whether it's games, or warm-ups, yada yada. Where do you delegate? What parts do you delegate to the staff, and where do you see the importance for them to grow?
No, I mean how I work, especially now, I'm just beginning my career as a coach, and then I said I need strong guys around me. I don't need guys who are just there to tell me yes, yes, this is great. I need guys, who we can talk, we can challenge why this works, why this doesn't work, what we need to improve. And of course, then there's the film work, what like last year our assistants were doing, and then before the practice we came to the gym, we planned the practice, and all the assistants, they had their kind of roles. What they run in the practice was defensively, some kind of drill offensively, or if you had the we wanted to improve our guys, how we had the big guys, we had the wings or guards in one groups, and everybody had their kind of station. And I felt like at the same time, same like with the team, with the players, with the staff, you really had to have that kind of same chemistry and get along well, and to keep also the staff motivated, to
Yes.
have a kind of, interesting things to do. And how I feel that everybody have to be able to say their own opinions, and then, okay, then we discuss, is it good? Then when we decide, there are no hard feelings. And, then we are all, when we go front of the players, we have to all be on the same page, and, then it's over. And,
Yeah.
this is something how I see the process. And because basketball is so interesting sport, you can play it so many different ways. Everybody got kind of their opinion, depending where are you coming from, and which kind of players you have. And I think that's why it's so beautiful sport and makes the sport interesting.
Yeah, the one thing I always keep drilling on, and when I talk to people about staff and handling staff and mentoring, not necessarily, but I talk more about the investment part, because you want to keep the staff engaged at the same time, because you want them to feel what you feel. You want them to feel that they're contributing to the success. You want them to feel invested, because the more they invest, the more they do, the more they feel that they're contributing, the more they feel the wins. Also the losses hurt even more, because you feel like you've done the work necessary, and it's painful. But at the same time, if you win, it's also glorious and it's fun, and you did it together. That's the tribe thing that we all always drill on. That it's only fun if you do it together. There's no pleasure in having done it alone, and having told everybody that they're not going to feel that they belong to the staff, to the team. They feel like they're servants. You don't want servants. You want people that are at the same level. Like you said, no hard feelings. We're exchanging opinions. We're professionals, that we're trying to get a point across and argue for the point that we're trying to make. And then it's on the head coach to make the decision. But we all have a way of relaying the information that we feel, because we all have experiences in our own ways. We all have a certain angle to look at it. So we also wanted to express our angle, so you are also, as the head coach, able to make an educated decision. It's not just like on a whim, like, oh, I want to do it like this. So those things, I think, for the staff is very important. The same thing is for the players, that they feel like they put in the work in, and then they're invested in the whole process. And then the games matter even more, because you've done all the steps. You didn't skip steps. Everybody contributed to it, from assistant coach to strength and conditioning coach to the staff members on the performance staff. Everybody's part of it, and you want them to feel that they are a part of it. And otherwise they will lose motivation at some point to do their best. They only do their best if they are invested.
100%. I totally agree with you. And it's the only way for me how it can work in long term. And of course there are going to be some confrontations during the year. We don't have we're going to have some disagreements, but it's part of the sport. And everybody, at the same time, like I said, even when I was player, at the same time, it's same with the staff coaching. It means you care. It
Yeah.
means you care. If you are always there, just coming to the work, you say yes, yeah, okay, I do this. It shows me that you are not fully invested and you don't care enough. But when you are there, you are trying to find solutions. We will talk like, okay, I don't think this is good idea. I think this is great idea. Then we discuss. Everybody on the staff are on the same page, and then we can move forward and do the best for the team. And I
Yeah.
think that's the only way to do it. And same, with the players. I think I'm big believer, collective basketball, where same with the player. If you run, let's say, up and down 4 or 5 times, you don't touch the ball. It's really hard for you to ask to play 100% defense, when, I mean, at the same time, you have to do this highest level if you want to, be able to compete and win. But it's really hard. And it's much easier if you feel you are involved and you get some touches, you feel, the my teammates trust me, the coach trusts me, I get some touches, I can be, I feel myself important. And
Mhm.
then I feel you are ready to give 100% also in the other end and everything for your team.
Yeah. The more invested, the more engaged you are, the more you are competing, and the more contribution you can give. How do you how would you, this whole season, how would you compare the NBL to Europe in terms of games style and level, and in terms of engagement, the players, the styles of players? Because when I was watching their live games and at the same time also on video years ago, now it's kind of, there's a little bit more variety, but years ago there was a lot of similar styles within the NBL. You know, like there's a lot of pass and cut and elbow action and split action, high split action, and there's all, you know, once you learn how to defend certain actions, it becomes repetitive, and then you can see the schemes repeating themselves. How did you see the level of the NBL compared to Europe and the styles that the NBL is playing?
I think it's somewhere between, you know, Euroleague and then NBA kind of with the style. It's much faster than, you know, Euroleague much more paced, but you know, there are some teams, different kind of style. We were one of the slowest teams in the league. You know, obviously we had some stretches we have to play different way and how we wanted to play. But it's interesting league. It's for me. I think there's a lot of, like you said, there are some certain actions you can see from many teams, and you know, you work. Obviously, you try to work on these and try to create kind of your plan how you want to defend these kind of actions. But there are a lot of, you know, interesting, you know, some things what I, for example, didn't see too much in Europe, and then there are some great shooters, and then, for example, Chris Colding, you know, it surprised me like which kind of shots he's able to make, and then consistently, you know, which kind of threat he is, and then, but you know, it's really, I think it's growing league, really entertaining league. The music is on. That's kind of one of the big surprise for me, you know, how loud the music was during the games, and it was kind of that one thing already what we talk about, you know, next season, you know, during the practices, you know, you have to really boom the music in the practice gym, kind of to teach the players how to communicate in the games, and you know, because it's different. But also as a coach, you know, it's hard to get your message sometimes on the court, and it's one way to practice, put the music on and try to create same kind of environment.
Yeah. That's what one thing we did. I remember when before we went to Partizan or Zvezda, when we played, we had preparation and practices, and we brought music in there. Also with the national, before we went on the road, I think it was Kosovo in one window, like, you know, like 7 years ago. And we knew that's going to be a small gym and it's going to be loud. And so we, in practice, we turned the music on loud. We turned like their chants on, depending on what they will yell. And then you have to yell in practice. The players have to
Exactly.
communicate. You know, there's no autopilot. You have to you know, huddle up
Over
and talk.
communicate many things. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a cool. No, that's a must. It's definitely, that's definitely a good idea. How do you see, how do you view the Next Star program at the NBL? What's the contribution aspect there, and how do you feel it's going forward?
I think it's really interesting and great idea. Obviously, you know, now with the NIL money, what they have in states with the college, you know, it's the challenge for this program, you know, but I think it's a proven path, and obviously we had a great experience with Karim this year, and then I remember when I saw it first weeks, I was like, oh, it's gonna be hard. I don't know how we can, you know, use Karim at the same time, because as a coach, you know, you kind of need to give him the opportunities. You want to give him the opportunities. At the same time, you are there competing and trying to win basketball games. And I remember beginning of the year, I was like, okay, let's see how this kind of work. How we can use Karim the best possible way, and both defensively, offensively. You want to invest, and you are ready. You know what is your job to do, and it was interesting process throughout the year, and then when you know get to know Karim, and then how he was working every day, and he had some of the amazing games, what he was able to do when he was 17. It's just, you know, rewarding, and overall, you know, you see those other next stars in the league, and you watch European basketball, you watch Euroleague. It's so old, you know, it's really hard
Yeah, it's a
for the
veterans
young.
league.
Yeah, exactly, very hard for the young guys to get opportunities, and every team got so much pressure to win and compete, and then especially Euroleague, it's really a lot of old guys kind of competing against each other. A lot of it's hard to find
Yeah.
some young guys there contributing and getting responsibility young age, but the teams know what is the part of the process. They are ready to give them the opportunities, make them better, and I think it's great for the young players. And the basketball is high level. They have to really compete every day. It's short season also. Then end of the season you have really time to work on your game and your body and recover. But I think it's I like the program.
I think it overall, like the NBL, it's very attractive. It's a short season. You can still you can balance it because 10 months is a long time. And it's stretching out, and then you have this really low period. December, January, February in the European season. And in the NBL, it's like let's get through this. We're going like every game matters because it's a shorter season, and you have to be on your toes right away, on your toes, yeah, right away, and make sure that you compete every game. You can't miss any possession because it can flip really quickly.
Exactly. And that's, like you said, for us for me coming from Europe, it was totally, you know, different kind of basketball, interesting, at the same time also, through the practices, like I said, the teaching wise, some of the things,
Yeah.
what for us in Europe is normal. For them, it wasn't. And you really have to invest some time to teach some, like, I don't know, spacing kind of rules or habits but the league is really, I think it's growing. It's interesting brand of basketball, like a lot of up and down, high pace, a lot of possessions. The teams are really
Mhm.
playing fast paced, and like you said, great finals, interesting
Yeah.
5 games, and Illawarra in the end was more better team, and they deserve.
Yeah, the biggest difference is there's no relegation, and that's one thing that also there's a different mentality that comes into it. I would actually add a different layer to the league, and maybe it would be different in terms of setup and marketing wise, but in overall, it's like in the G League also there's no relegation. You play, and there's less pressure on the players. There's always pressure on the coaches, but at the same time, there is no repercussions for a bad season. You just kind of start over the next season at the same level and hope to do it better. So that's one thing. I think also, I mean, there's just probably not enough teams for them to move up, and to have the finances to support a full season for a new club. So in a sense, it does make sense. There's no relegation, because there's only a limited amount of teams that can play in the NBL. But I suppose there's going to be also an expansion at some point. They're thinking about it, so we'll TBD. We'll see what this goes to.
Exactly. Yeah, there have been a lot of talks about adding teams to the league, and I think next season the league they're gonna add a few more games,
Yeah.
and then but like I said, it's growing league. It's a lot of good players. It's gonna be also interesting, like to see these players after the season they are able to sign somewhere. A lot of players, let's say from our team,
Yeah.
Parker went to play to finish the season with Ritas.
Yep.
Many players went to Puerto Rico. Some of the other teams went to Germany. Jack White now signed with Bayern, so it's gonna
Yeah.
be, this also creates different kind of opportunities for the players. But it's also at the same time something new for me. Kind of you finish the season, then the players go to play another season with some other team. Is it there locally? New Zealand league or Australian league, and you try to build some habits, you try to build something, and then they go to they might play totally different, and they come back and we say okay, where we continue, and it's interesting challenge.
Yeah. How did you have any free time to enjoy New Zealand to an extent, or was it something like so dense, the schedule was so dense that there was no real enjoyment in terms
No,
of
no,
nature
no,
and
in no time, just few times, and
yeah.
that's we the same because we did that NBA tour also beginning of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we were 3 weeks in States. So kind of our schedule was really crazy when we got back. But I had opportunity to see something, something around Auckland, and then obviously we played stick what we played seven home games all over New Zealand. So you can kind of a little bit see the other cities, but mostly what you see is they are the gyms or the hotels. And but I had opportunity to go to play golf, and it was definitely was one of the nicest golf courses I ever been by the beach, and
In which
unbelievable.
city?
It was 1 hour 30 minutes from Auckland.
Okay.
There's I can't. Te Arai, I think it's the name. I heard
Uh-huh.
there are like two courses. I heard the other one is really exclusive, and many NBA players or somebody just travel there to play round
Uh-huh.
of golf there. And we went to the other one. I got the invitations with the Tom Abercrombie, the old player, and now
Yeah.
he's part of the new ownership also at our club right now. So we went to play a round of golf, and it was amazing. But yeah, beautiful country, and I hope I get a little bit more time, to see a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a cool aspect of having home games all across the nation. It's different because you don't have the same crowd all the time. The cultural aspect of the fan culture, that's in Europe, that's probably normal in every city. But also at the same time, that's a way to grow the sport, to play. That's how we do it with national team. Also, we used to do it to play in different cities of Lithuania to give everybody a little bit of that team. But with national team, it's different. With the club to play across the country, it's a little bit more difficult. But at the same time, that's the only way to market yourself probably in a sport that's not prevalent in the country.
Yeah, and there are good and bad sides. Obviously, you ask many players, you ask us coaches, should we just play all the home games in Auckland so we'd have to travel so we can practice more? I think everybody would agree. But, at the same time, like you said, there are the other side, you try to promote the sport whole country. We are the only New Zealand, team who plays in the league.
Hmm.
Everybody else, they're from Australia. So it kind of makes sense. And how I understood right now, the basketball is really growing in New Zealand. It's kind of where Finland basketball used to be, where let's say 15 years ago, a lot of kids, are starting to play. Now they got the difficulties with the gyms, where they find the coaches, where they can
Yeah.
find more gyms. But it's interesting. That's how they told me there. Like the sports is growing, and it's great kind of step to be part of. And I also it's going to be also interesting to see the next steps what the New Zealand, let's say, as a basketball country, as a federation, gonna take. And there are a lot of potential, and I think that's also part of the plan for the new management of our club to kind of create that path for the younger generation, to that they see that
Hmm.
all the young guys who are growing up there, that their first dream is to be part of the breakers. And that's how it should be, how I see it.
Hmm.
That you, when you are growing up as a Kiwi player, that's your dream, to put that breaker jersey on, and then be
Yeah.
able to represent that club. And I think it's great vision, and a lot of work to do, but it's right thing to do.
You can be the Hendrik Detman of New Zealand.
I don't know about that, but but definitely, if I want to help, all the possible way, and tell, for example, how we did it in Finland, and how we look Lithuania up, and how you guys were doing things, and same there, and
Yeah,
it's kind of be able to create the system, and use that potential what the sport is bringing.
for sure. Yeah. How did you manage the long distance and with the family and being away the hour difference, time zones? I had a long distance relationship with my ex-girlfriend. She was living in Australia. I was living in Germany and Lithuania and Europe and everywhere. And basically, you live two different lives, going to sleep and waking up, and then vice versa. And then somewhere in between, there's a lot of things that get lost. So I imagine it was difficult. How did you handle it?
Yeah, that definitely was the hardest part of the whole experience and whole year. First, everything kind of happened so fast during the summer. And the first plan, obviously, we had our third boy born in April. Lucas was born then, so it was the first plan was that the family will come, after me, maybe in October, and then spend rest of the season there. But then we saw the schedule. We were never in Auckland. My wife was telling like, why I should come there with three kids with the baby? Like, for what? You are never there. Like I said, like, okay, I kind of understand, and it was difficult. Then, I'm really happy they were able to come for 1 month during the Christmas break, and our oldest son is also in the school, and that's definitely the hardest part in this job. And at the same time, like I was playing 15 years professionally, and now you are thinking like, is it fair to put them through this again? And kind of like those are the things what I'm challenging and thinking all over again. But at the same time, I'm pretty lucky to have amazing wife. He kind of understands it, and he knows these kind of opportunities or experiences, they don't come every year. And now I think for the second season, the plan is they would be able to come there a little bit more longer time, let's say 3 months, and the kids, the two older sons would go there a little bit school and get that experience, a little bit, also New Zealand, and then come back to Finland. But yeah, it's not easy puzzle to solve, kind of with this job.
This is already the hardest part if you have a family in one place and have a coaching job, and then if you have a family in two different places, like you're apart, and the time difference. So I can't imagine. There's like one hurdle after another that you have to overcome. And plus the disconnect between the time zones is something that I think it's great that your family will come over to New Zealand and stay in there a long period. It's great for the kids, I think, to have a different experience at that age, to have a different culture aspect, to see something different, and for them to see a little bit different, world, because New Zealand as a whole is just it's amazing. It's beautiful. I went and traveled the South Island for 12 days. And
so you have seen more than me. you have seen all the good parts and all the good things, I have seen all the airports and arenas and the hotels.
No, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I do see that airport and the hotel part also, but I'm very lucky with my position that I have the autonomy also to balance it out with travel, and also I don't have a family. So with a family, or it would be much more difficult. So that's one thing that I'm conflicted with myself. I love the traveling part. I love the independence. I love having the wings to fly and I could work. I can take an Airbnb in Madrid or in Barcelona just to have an airport and to have, see basketball and travel from there, because I don't have, my job requires me to travel and see the kids and meet people. At the same time, how do I build a family? Like there's one thing leads to another, and I'm not willing to give that up. Like it has to be somebody that I can do it together with, that kind of amplifies what I do. And that's one thing because I love experiences. I love seeing new things. I love traveling and experiencing culture. I love traveling and seeing new parts of the world that are just like your eyes, just seeing something for the first time is the most beautiful thing. It's the best thing. Like, when you keep seeing, I was traveling with my girlfriend at the time, and then I travel all the time and she doesn't. And then she's all happy and excited. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, for me, it's just another trip, like so you lose the impulse, you lose the appreciation for the travel, because you travel so much. And then when you travel for fun, you kind of like, okay, now I just got another flight. Where other people I can see them in the airport excited, they're on vacation for 1 week, they're just having a good time. And then it's like, okay, it's a different bubble I'm living in.
Yeah. No, I totally understand and totally feel you. There are good and bad sides on everything, and that's kind of the bigger challenge for us, the puzzle, how to solve it. But like you said, it's good thing it's short season. It's kind of we go there short preseason. I can work there and do the really long days in the beginning of preseason, and with the coaching staff try to get everything ready, and then if they would be able to come there, you know, to enjoy and be part of the experience also would make everything much more easier.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's also like you think, okay, is it fair to do it for the kids? But at the same time, you brought up some good things. You know, they are able to get some new experience. You know, in New Zealand, it's good they speak English, so it's kind of easier to go to school, kind of get that experience and see the world and different cultures.
Many people don't know. I went to elementary school in the U.S. when I was 6. You know,
Mm.
like my father signed from Lithuania to play in Germany when I was 6, and then my mom and me, after 3 months, we just kind of let's have an experience and go. We had family in Chicago, and then we had family in Michigan where I spent half a year there going to school, and that changed my trajectory in terms of English language, in terms of perception to the world. And I came back to Germany and studied the rest of my high school, like through high school in Germany. So it gave me a good foundation. What I'm saying, like it's priceless. So I always encourage families without having a family. Like what do I know?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, and of course there are, challenges, a lot of hustle, organizing the school, organizing
Yeah,
the life there. But at the same time, like how me and my wife we see it, that it's worth it. At least, the kids are still in this age; they can do it. Of course, the oldest one is the toughest. How his sports, how my soccer team, how my basketball team, how they're gonna do it. How is my school? But at the same time, they get a lot of experience and see the world a little bit, and you can always then come back.
for sure, for sure. You ready for my ATOs?
I don't know about that, but let's go.
They're not going to be complicated. Very simple. Very simple. I keep it simple. One thing on your bucket list, apart from basketball, that you would like still want to do, whether it's traveling, experience, see, enjoy. What's one thing that you still want to do?
Who 2 weeks all inclusive golf trip somewhere, resort, some nice golf resort. Can just relax and spend time there, Or this one or the other one would be, somewhere in Alps to go to ski with the family, or because those
And
were
with the
kind of
new
the thing.
hips.
Yeah, with the new hips, exactly. And I actually few weeks ago I tried, because my left one was done one year and a half ago, something like this anyway. So it was first time I tried skiing, after the surgery, and it felt pretty great. So now, I know I can do it. So it's one of those things, when I was playing, I was not able to do it too often. So that's also one of those two or both.
Okay, yeah, both. You have enough time to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ask Sharas, you can ask Sharas about the golfing resort. He'll tell you where to go.
I already looked some, in Costa Navarino in Greece. There is some,
Uh,
but that's definitely some of those things.
Most underrated aspect of coaching.
Underrated. I don't I don't know if it's underrated, but recruiting.
Yeah, yeah. That's people don't think about it. People see the X's and O's. They don't think about what
Exactly.
leads to it. Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. And the most overrated part?
X's and O's.
Very good. One game that still haunts you to today as a player, not as a coach, but as a player. One game that you look back on, you're like, ah, I wish I had that one back.
That's actually pretty easy for me. It was World Cup 2014.
Spain.
We no, yeah, we played there. We played Turkey. We were up 3 points in the end, and I had the ball in my hands. Turkey fouled me, and I was pretty great free throw shooter
Yeah.
all my career, and I went to the line. I missed both, and kind of nobody was expecting this. Not the coaching staff, not as players. So kind of nobody was saying, okay, let's make a foul. Let's not let them shoot the three. So I missed both free throws. They came down. They penetrate to the paint. We went to help, and they hit the three. We went to the overtime and we lost. And it was kind of then we couldn't make to the next round. We lost actually against New Zealand then in the last game, and we couldn't make it to the next round. And that was kind of I took it really really hard. I played well in that tournament, but that moment, and I still remember next season I went to play with Khimki, and I had the same situation in some game. Go to the line in the end of the game, two free throws, and it kind of took that one situation that I got over it. So I show myself that okay, this is normal. I can make these free throws, and but definitely that still hurts.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I can imagine. That's good that you remembered on later on that you had to how you overcame it.
Yeah.
You prove it to yourself basically. Best personal investment of the last year.
I don't know. I feel so in depth to my wife, so I don't know if the baby kind of was born. The summer was busy. I was with the San Antonio in summer league. I was all over then New Zealand games. So I don't know. I owe so much to my wife right now.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's something to promise to really invest time with the family and this in the future. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say, how to
for
describe it.
sure. For sure. No, that makes total sense. That's a very fair assessment. Two more. Finnish coffee.
Finnish coffee. That's the legend.
Definition of Finnish coffee. What's the legend there?
Yeah, it is. I think I don't know if you talk with Coach Mario, but
I
it
don't give
came a
up my sources.
it came a thing, with a next generation. We kind of have, after the long day or when we had the early game or after practice, we had this thing, okay, let's go take Finnish coffee. And Mario was like, "What is the Finnish coffee?" And first time I introduced it when he came to Helsinki to meet me, and I said, "Let's take Finnish coffee." And he said, like, what is it? I said, "Yeah, it's let's take coffee and beer, together." So it's like in overall in life, you need to have the balance. So
Yeah.
beer makes you relax, and the coffee, it lifts you up. So you are in perfect balance after. So that kind of became a thing.
So that's the Finnish yin and yang philosophy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's I guess the last question is the one game that haunts you still. But if you have a favorite failure that haunts that you learned from the most, if you take that one game away from the two free throws that you missed in Spain at the World Cup, what would be the favorite failure that you learned the most from, and that you feel like you moved on very well from that? Biggest
I
lesson.
I think this maybe goes when I was even younger, when I
Hmm.
had these junior games, kind of when I don't remember exact game, but I remember I had bad game, like, and then I wasn't chosen to be part of some junior national team, some kind of thing. I still remember this, and it was kind of turned my head around. I said, like, you know what, like, fuck you all, like, I gonna show you. And I
Yeah.
think it was really kind of important kind of failure, and it kind of set the tone for the future with the basketball, all after. But I think those kind of things, it can kills you, but it can really gives you the motivation or the strength to move forward. And I'm happy it turned out that way. And basketball gave me a lot, and still, like I said, still keeps queuing. So I'm really grateful.
Yeah, that's the turning point. That turned the engine on. It's like, man, that's a
Yeah.
classic example. The Jordan got cut from the high school team. It just turned the engine even more on. And nowadays, I think that kids quit too easily. I think that's a very too easygoing culture. Many things are too easy, and they're not used to fighting through it, proving, having grit, having attitude of overcoming. And that's
No,
one thing that we all grew up like that, and I think those things sparked us and then gave us more motivation to prove. I wanted to prove everything to my dad that he was, and certain things. One glimpse of an eye was enough for me to like, oh, I'm gonna like just I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. And
yeah, there are no patience same way. Like
yeah,
they want everything right now, and
yeah,
it just doesn't work that way, unfortunately, in many cases. And
yeah.
you have to really earn it, and you have to have the patience and the motivation to do it.
For sure. Petteri, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. It was fun, and I hope you enjoyed it as well as much as I did.
No, I did. I'm laying here on the bed, so nothing else to do. So that's a great entertainment for my day. So thank you for it.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. Click this subscribe, share, like, comment. Thank you for being here. And Petteri, I'll see you soon. Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you.
All right. Bye.